your brain, you're in the nerds domain. Come on in, it's about to begin.
Hi everybody, and welcome back to the Nerds Domain podcast. This week I'm here with John Graham from Figid Press. Say hi, John.
Hi everyone.
So John, let's talk real quick before we get too deep into this. What exactly is Figid Press, and who are you?
Well, I'm a local creator, self-publisher, and helper of other people who want to get projects out there. I'm also a author, and just I like to write books. Figid Press actually stands for, Figid is finally I got it done, which is that's exactly how I felt when I published my first children's book. Like, oh, finally I got it done. So I want to kind of help people feel that same emotion that I felt when I finished my first project.
Right on. So you're putting together an independent show. Is this your second one? Is that correct?
This is the second independent show. It's Sunday, November 16th, so coming up very shortly. The last one was in March. Had some really good reviews and results done with it. It's a very unique show, and I'd like to say it's the only show of its kind in the area or in the United States, because it's more focused towards educating people, and so creators who are out there, putting their books out and stuff, they're sharing their experiences with people, and they're allowing people, a glimpse into how the behind the scenes of how they get to where they get to. With that, it also has a ton of workshops, panels, all included in like a really low price, since we're kind of the focus is more towards that 10-year-old to 30-year-old that is like, man, I always want to make a book or a comic, and I don't know how. This is the place where they can go and experience it. So it's like $4 for adults, $2 for students, and all the panels and workshops are included. Excellent.
And this is here in Indianapolis, so it's the IndyPendent Show, right?
That's right. Yeah, so it's a little tough if you search it on the web. It is www.indy is INDYPENDENT show.com. So you can find us and tons of information there.
Right on. And so how many exhibitors are you going to have at this event, and where do they range from?
We have about 30 local creators and a few more that are actually helping with the panels and workshops. So we're all kind of one room. It's not a huge show, but it has that kind of a more relaxed atmosphere that people can like discuss topics. It's not like the big conventions, though I love the big conventions too, but sometimes people are just shuffling through and they don't have time to really interact with the creators there.
Okay. And so it's everything from artists, comic book artists, to writers, podcasters.
Yeah, we've got
a little bit of everybody.
It's a little bit of everyone. The show. The first show was more comic book creators. This show we're a little more diversified, from some artists, podcasters, sculptors, different people from graphic designers. The nicest thing, one of the nicest things from the first show was that people met each other and were able to start working on projects, and it's nice to hear people coming out of the show who had a table there, like, oh, I got a commission to do letters on this, lettering or a 10-page art submission or something like that. So it's a place where people who are doing projects can go and meet people who are already in the business, kind of say, on a smaller scale, and are willing to help out those and maybe work on their project with them.
Right on. All right. Well, so one of the unique things that I like about your show is that everybody gets a name tag, and each booth has its own kind of name tag as well. Can you tell us a little bit about those?
Yeah, this is what I always wanted to see at a show in my years and years of going to conventions and never noticed anywhere, so I had to do it in this show. So what it is when you get there and you pay your admission price, you get a sign. The badge basically says, I'm interested in, and has a blank. And you take a black marker and you write down, let's say you write down digital art. As you put it in a holder, you wear it around your neck, so you're kind of showcasing to everyone, hey, I'm out here, I'm interested in digital art, or whatever you decide to put down. As you walk around the room, the creator room, you'll see signs on everybody's tables. And each creator has given me 2 areas that they consider strengths. Of course, they have lots more strengths beyond those 2, but those are kind of the 2 to get things started. And someone who maybe is a little shy, who's already wearing around their neck, hey, I like digital art, if they happen upon a sign that says digital art as a strength, now they don't really have to go up and do that awkward, break the ice, conversation stuff. Sometimes people are a little introverted. Now it's just a question of walking to the table, and the person behind the table is just like, oh, you're interested in digital art? Well, here, let me show you some stuff that I do, or what do you use to do your digital art, or what's the technique, or let me share something with you. So it's a very exchange of information type of place instead of the awkward, quiet, trying to strike up a conversation.
Okay. So this is Sunday the 16th, correct?
Yes.
From noon to 5?
It's actually 10 to 5.
Oh, I'm sorry, 10.
Yep,
wow.
10 o'clock. Yeah, 7 hours of pure education there. So, and the panels and workshops, there's 2 separate rooms they'll be running at one time, and one is more panels where, traditional, where you sit down and listen to people speak about their experiences. But the workshop room is interesting because it actually has tables set up, classroom tables, very limited seating, only 24 people for each workshop. But it's a chance to sit down and have someone talk to you about how to draw more expressive characters. And you just have to sit in your seat, you have paper, you have pencils, everything is there for you, and you can follow along with the creator who's kind of going over things. And the Indie Webcomics group is doing a majority of these educational workshops and some of the panels, and they've been very helpful with it. Okay.
And so 7 hours, that's a lot of time. So you've got, what, a dozen panels or so? Is that correct?
Yeah, I think I have about 6 panels and about 4 workshops. About 10. Right.
Okay. There will be something for everybody. Lots of stuff going on. You said $4 for adults, $2 for students, so there's no reason not to come out and check it out. And this is over at the Radisson over by the airport,
yep,
correct?
The airport Radisson is right off of that little expressway, right off 465. Yeah. You can practically see it from the interstate.
And so even if you're not local, if you're from the general Indiana, Ohio, Illinois region, this still is not a bad idea to come down to the show. It's going to be all about networking and getting to know each other. And I really encourage all of our listeners to head this way.
I'm really excited that it's at this time frame. I know people aren't really thinking Christmas right now because the weather's been nice and it's not really that time yet. But what a great opportunity to interact with local people and buy a completely unique gift for someone for the holidays. Or a lot of these folks are artists, and you can imagine getting a one-of-a-kind sketch for somebody to put their Christmas gift, and that's what I think is so great about the fall show, because the goal is to do one in spring and one in fall every year going forward.
Well, right on. All right, well, let's kind of switch gears a little bit. We talked about Figid Press, and one of the things you guys do at Figid Press is you have run a few Kickstarters for some of your products and projects. Right now you have a Kickstarter up, is that correct?
Yeah, that's based on, actually, the first children's book that I wrote is called No Sweets for Santa, which is a color book about Santa swearing off sweets on Christmas Eve and then traveling the world getting hungrier and hungrier until he finds a house that leaves him pizza instead of cookies and milk. So then he fills up on pizza and leaves an extra present under the tree. That's the book. I kind of wrote that story for my family because we leave pizza for Santa every year. We make homemade pizza.
Nice.
So the idea is we read the story, and then there's actually a pizza recipe in the book, and there's a song that I wrote also to kind of go along with it. But I wanted to do something else that kind of extends the experience out a little more than just that time right before on Christmas Eve. So I teamed up with the artist Mark Mariano, who is out of New Jersey, and he drew me some great pictures for cards. And the Kickstarter right now is for the card game, which is kind of it's a 3 levels of play for ages 2 and up. you could say.
Okay. And this is your 11th Kickstarter, correct?
Yeah, it's up there. Yeah.
So you at least know on the distribution and fulfillment end, you've got this all handled, so we don't have to worry about any of that.
Right. My goal, and there's always a tiny variable, but I'm almost guaranteed that I'll get everything squared away, is that people who pledge the Kickstarter ends December 1st, they'll have the rewards in hand by mid-December. So.
Oh, excellent!
Yeah,
wow, that's a real quick turnaround.
Yeah, it's for this Christmas. So, and one thing I've done different with this Kickstarter is that I will actually, let's say you want to buy it, but you have a nephew who's in Arizona. Instead of me sending it to you having to like repackage it, go to the post office during December, which we know is not a fun experience.
Yeah, not at all.
I can actually just send that reward to whoever you want in the United States instead of sending it to you. So it's kind of like you pledge, you get your Christmas gift for someone, and I send it to them and get it there before Christmas.
Excellent. That's cool. All right. Well, tell us a little bit about you told us a little about the story. How does the game play?
The game plays. There's the 3 levels of play are this. The first level, there's 40 cards in the deck, and they're circular cards because I have a 6-year-old son, and he's been kind of my guinea pig for the past couple of years. We've been playing games and stuff. They're 3-inch circular cards, and so they're very easy for any size hand to hold.
Okay.
There's 4 of each card, so it's a total of 10 different cards, 40 cards total. The first level of gameplay is very basic. It's like memory. You split your deck into 2 piles, so there's 2 cards of each in each pile, and 2 children can play memory off of one half deck, just like you've always played memory in your life. Flipping the card over. If you get a match, you keep going type thing. But the unique thing is that since you have 2 identical decks at that point, you can have family members play in teams. So you can have 2 people start on, kind of do like a score thing from who wins from each side type thing. Mm-hmm. So that's the first level. That's for the younger kids. The next level of gameplay, level 2, is really just along the lines of Go Fish, very similar to that. You're basically starting out with 5 cards. You have a big pile of cards in the middle. You're asking people if they have matches. When you get 3 or more, then you lay your set down. The only difference is you would instead of saying like Go Fish or something, you would say grab a slice or grab a pizza.
Right on.
Because the back of the cards all look like pizzas, so it's kind of a fun thing. The front of the card has like Santa, a reindeer, a slice of pizza, cookies, a present, a piece of coal, different things like that. So then the third level of gameplay, you're going to take out 2 of the naughty cards and 2 of the nice cards, and then the 2 that are left are going to be put in that same type of Go Fish style of gameplay, but it will be more geared towards, the nice cards will be wild, and then the naughty cards, if someone asks you for, do you have any Santas? If you don't, you can give them the naughty card. If it's in your hand, it kind of blocks them from being able to pick one up. So it's very simple game mechanics, and the gameplay is very short. It's usually about 10 to 15 minutes tops per game. But the idea is that, with younger kids, sometimes the attention span isn't quite very long, so you're kind of graduating this with them, and they have different types of games they can play with the same deck.
Okay. All right. Well, looks like you're asking for $1,000. You're a little over halfway there, and you've only been up for a little over a week. Is that correct?
Yeah. It's doing very well, and I'm very excited about it because I'm really passionate about the family tradition thing, and this ties into the whole family tradition type of experience of like, hey, we're not just making pizza for ourselves. We're making it. We're going to leave a special slice for Santa. We're gonna sing a song. We're gonna play the game, and just kind of building that tradition in. Because as I read the book to elementary schools, and I travel around quite a bit with it, it's just a lot of fun to ask kids what they do on Christmas Eve, what they leave for Santa, and you get some fun responses, but I think everyone does something, and I think that's important that kids have this tradition to kind of build on and then maybe change it a little bit as they get older and have families of their own.
Right on. Well, it looks like you've got several levels, all from $13 all the way up to $75. The basic level is you get the game for $13 and a copy of the book, No Sweets for Santa. So, and those all going to be delivered by mid-December is your hope.
Yep. So
that looks great. And then you can go all the way up to that $75 level, and you'll get a bunch of stuff, a hardcover edition. You'll get an extra comic book, and you'll still get the game, two copies of the game as well. So even at $75, that's pretty affordable.
Yeah, that pledge level is pretty much everything I produce through Figid Press. So there's all ages, from the Survivor Zombiac, which is for older kids, just a fun zombie survival graphic novel, kind of Mad Magazine meets The Walking Dead, to Bath Time Safari, which is a waterproof book that kids can actually take in the tub and use bath crayons on, to the No Sweets for Santa experience, to the Holiday Hooligans, which is another holiday comic that has the Karate Cane and the Brute Cake and Ninja Bread Man. It's kind of fun for that ages 7 and up. So it's kind of everything I've done. I have some fans out there in the world of Kickstarter, and I like to put that pledge out there so they can get everything in one shot, and kind of go through and read everything I put out.
Excellent. All right. Well, let's switch gears again, and finally to kind of talk about Figid Press and about the books and stuff that you've done. So why don't you tell us a little bit about that?
Some I've just mentioned, the Bath Time Safari. Well, No Sweets for Santa was the first book I put out, and then as I did school readings, I realized that second and third grade, kids were kind of too cool for Santa, so they wanted something else. So that's where I created the Holiday Hooligans, I call them, which is Ninja Bread Man, Fruit Cake, Karate Cane, Peanut Riddle, the Mangled Mallow. So it's kind of fun holiday characters that are trying to wreak revenge on humanity for eating all their friends and family at holiday parties. Then I moved into the Bath Time Safari, which is just a simple book that kind of goes through the steps for taking a bath. Funny enough, when my youngest son Jackson was born and he hit that independent bathing stage, I looked around for something that was like, here's the steps to bathing yourself, so I could be like, hey son, check off this, and then we'll come in and dry you off type thing. But there is nothing out there that said, here's how you bathe yourself. So I found this military grade paper, which is called UPO synthetic paper, completely waterproof, works with bathtub crayons and different things like that, and decided to print this book and put it on this special paper so kids can take it in the tub and mark it up, and you can just wash it off or dry it off when you're done. And then I kind of moved into the Survivor Zombiac, which is just a fun comic on surviving the zombie apocalypse. But it's not like super gory or anything like that. Again, I try to write things from the perspective of, I'm a parent of 3 children, and I want them to be able to show kids, hey, this is what my dad did, and so I try to keep it as PG as I possibly can, or better. So things. I've also done some short stories, and I've also just worked on a graphic novel called The Father Keeper with horror writer Nicholas Grabowski in Sacramento, California. It's his story. I was able to adapt that into a graphic novel format, which is something I love to do. I love to read people's stories they've written, and my brain tries to make it into a comic book. So if they like to go that route, that's something that I'm like, oh, let me get this done and put it out in the script and see if we can find an artist to do those things.
Excellent. You also, beyond just having the books, you run the show, and then you also have a network as well.
Yeah, my goal in Indianapolis is to network all the creative people. So I created the IndyPendent Network, and it's just like a free white pages or yellow pages type thing where people can submit their name and their email, or name and website in a different category, And I did that because when we moved back here a year and a half ago. There's so many creative people in this town, but very few people knew of each other, and they were out there trying to do projects for themselves, and were missing a piece here or there, and trying to contact people around the world on the web. When there was somebody down the street that could pretty much help them out, that was looking for something, and that's really where the Independent Show and the Independent Network came about. I mean, I've worked with very talented people around the world. Don't get me wrong. I mean, there's talented people everywhere, and I have the greatest respect to them. But when you have that talent that's down the street that you can meet at a restaurant real quick and talk over face-to-face something, it just feels a little different. That creative exchange is just, it just seems more vibrant. And for me, it charges me up and gets me excited to complete the project. So I really wanted to bring the city of Indianapolis together and have this thing where we could find each other and help each other on projects as far as promoting, or maybe help out with some feedback, different things like that.
Okay. So you've got the 4 books. You also offer some services for kind of consultation. That's all listed on your figidpress.com site. You got the show and the network. Anything else that you want to talk about that you kind of want to hit?
Really, with just the services, I'm pretty passionate about helping people get stuff out into the world. So I've done things with local schools, as far as elementary schools, where kids will draw characters, and we scan them in and make them into comics and give them back to them on the last day of school, and that had some success with that. Organizations. I just feel like the technology is at a place now for creation where people maybe are still intimidated, but they just need to know a couple pieces of the puzzle to put together, and it's not as hard as they think it is. And so helping people get that last little obstacle overcome. They've got the manuscript or they've got the book, they may have the art, they have everything ready to go, they're just not sure what to do next. That's my passion, is to help them get it out there in an economical way. I mean, obviously I'm a huge fan of crowdfunding, so I like to use that for a lot of my projects. But even that is, it's not as easy as people think. You need to have some advice going in, so you can't just click submit and say, oh, people are going to give me thousands of dollars now. There's a lot more to it, and that's where my consultation stuff kind of comes in, is that I like to sit down with people and say, what's your goals and what's your end result, and how do we get there in the most economical way? Because the last thing I want people to feel is that, as they get older, man, I missed that opportunity, I never got that book out, or I never found that artist, or, there's so many excuses you can have. And I think once I reached a certain age, I was like, I can't keep putting things off. I've got to just start getting stuff out there and, feel that sense of accomplishment that kind of fuels you to keep going to the next thing.
Okay. So where can we see you coming up? You're going to be at the Independent Show, obviously, but after that?
After that, there's not much going on in December, but definitely in the spring, you'll see me at pretty much every local convention around in some capacity. I'll either have a table for the Figid Press stuff, or I'll have a table that promotes maybe local shows. My goal is to try to hit every major convention in some kind of capacity. So I think Indianapolis next year potentially could have a convention every 2 weeks, with the smaller ones, the big ones, all that stuff kind of together. My goal is to try to be out there and at least be interacting with people, even if I don't have something to sell, just to kind of say, hey, you can get out there and you can get things done. I don't really know my 2015 schedule too much lately yet, but just take a look at the local events and watch the Independent Show Facebook page, and we will be posting nonstop where we're going to be, what's going to be happening.
Okay. And you said Facebook page. You want to give us the address for that and your Twitter?
Yeah, the Facebook page is just Independent Show. Remember, it's got that weird spelling, INDYPENDENT show. And Twitter is the same thing. It's just at IndyPendent Show. And then Figid Press also has a Facebook page and a Twitter, the same name, Figid Press. Just type that in, and you'll see updates there quite often. The website for IndyPendent Show also has some forms that people can fill out to just for contact. We put on mailing lists. And it also has pages for all the creators with their websites, with their information, so you can definitely visit their pages and support them also.
Excellent. Yeah, absolutely. Anything else you want to touch on?
That's about everything. I really appreciate the opportunity to be on the show here.
We were happy to have you on. John is a backer of our Kickstarter from back in March. Would have been March for the Indy PopCon, to get us to Indy PopCon. So we really appreciate John doing that. And I get to meet you shortly after that and talk a little shop about just creation in general. And you pointed me to some really good stuff. So we're always happy to have John come and talk to us. And I will be at the Independent Show. We don't have a table, but I will definitely be there talking to people, getting to know local creators. I know that I heard that the March show was a great success from the attendees' perspective. I haven't actually talked to anybody that set up a table there, but everybody that went to experience it said it was fantastic. So that's always good to hear. So definitely come out to the Independent Show if you're in the local area or region, and you can find John on Facebook and Twitter. You can find us on Facebook and Twitter like you always do, and you can head over to our website at nerdsdom.com and sign up for our newsletter on the right-hand side. That'll give you all the information that we want to put in a newsletter for you to keep you kind of updated on what we're doing and what's going on. And you can go over to patreon.com if you wanted to and go to /nerdsdomain and support us there. And you can always find our shirts on /loot. And I think that'll do us tonight. We'll talk to you guys real soon.
This has been a production of the Omega Nerds Network, the network where it's on.